You are quite impressed by the BC government's plan to build housing faster through the BC Builds program, and you're giving a shot in the arm to that program through the federal government funding?
Well, listen, our approach on housing has been to work with provinces, work with municipalities, with our accelerator fund, just make sure that we're creating not just new homes, but new affordable homes and creating the conditions to build more homes as well. We know there are builders out there, there are lots out there, there are opportunities to be making the math make sense. So we're out there to try and make sure that the supply of homes and affordable homes go up. And BC government's new BC Builds program does exactly that, which is why we're happy to step up and work with them to help solve the housing challenge.
So, Mr. Trudeau, you did mention that there are other programs as well that the federal government is investing in, like the Housing Accelerator Fund, and there are others as well. What is it specifically about this program which appeals to you?
Well, this one is very much focused on making sure there's affordable rental housing for the middle class. It is focused on using underused land around various buildings, building on parking lots, getting that densification done, and doing it in a way that is at or below market prices. So it supports not just the most vulnerable, but folks in the middle class who are being squeezed out. And this idea of working in partnerships for me is extremely important. You know, different orders of government have different responsibilities, different tools in their toolbox, and it's clear to me that working together, not picking fights with municipalities or provinces, but working together with them is the way we're going to solve this challenge.
How much money is the federal government bringing to the table for the BC Builds program?
This is about $2 billion as an investment, but that comes on top of the hundreds of millions of dollars we've signed on housing accelerators around with various municipalities across the Lower Mainland and throughout BC. On top of the taking off the GST on new apartment buildings, which has made the math work for a lot of developers to build middle-income rental units in apartment buildings. Like, we are changing zoning, we're changing densification rules, we're accelerating red tape so that people can build more homes on lots. We can accelerate things throughout. So there's a lot of different things we're doing on the offer side, but then on the supply side, we've also put in the first-time home buyers tax-free savings account. We're moving forward on various supports for young families. These are the kinds of things that are going to solve the housing crisis over the coming years.
Mr. Trudeau, I want to take the next few minutes to talk about some other issues which are also related to the housing crisis, because whenever this discussion is sparked, we talk about the number of people that we are accepting into the country. Number of international students has already been capped for the next 2 years. Are there any other immigration programs or visa programs that are being looked at right now for maybe some possible curtailment? Because we often hear from our listeners that when visitors have the option of converting their residency into a work permit, which was a pandemic time policy, but that's now been extended till February of 2025, do you think that we still need that kind of a policy in place?
You're absolutely right that immigration continues to be really important for Canada, and that's why our permanent residence numbers have increased slowly from 460 up to 500, where 500,000 a year. That's where it's going to stabilize for a year, and that's to make sure that we have the growing workforce we need. But you're also right that there has been a massive spike in international students, in temporary workers, in asylum seekers, that are all things that we need to get back a little bit under control. We took strong measures around international students that aren't just focused at limiting the number of international students, but making sure the ones that come are able to succeed, are better supported. That's really important to make sure that as we welcome in people around the world, they have the success that's going to lead them to either a good job in Canada or to be able to bring that knowledge back home to contribute. Around visitors and work permits, we are looking very, very carefully at that. We need to make sure that people who come here are filling jobs that we actually need, whether it's construction or healthcare or other things, and we need to make sure that there is housing for them, there are supports for them, that they are going to be successful. And these are all things that we're taking a very careful look at, because one of the great advantages of Canada is Canadians know that immigration is good and is beneficial and is positive for our economy and our communities. But we need to protect that, and where people are worried about it, we need to show that we have a strong, rigorous system that follows the rules, that is fair, and is going to lead to controlled growth and success.
Mr. Trudeau, talking about the fairness of the system, what's very closely associated with this whole immigration system right now is the LMIA fraud. Cash for LMIA, it's become such an open secret that some say that it's now the willful blindness of the system which is unwilling to combat this menace. What do you have to say to that? Because this issue keeps coming up time and time again.
Well, we know that there are many, many businesses across the country who have become reliant on foreign workers. Now, there are some areas, you think of berry pickers and certain agricultural industries, fish processing plants and others, where there are no Canadians willing to do those jobs or able to do those jobs, and that's where temporary foreign workers really does make a significant difference. But unfortunately, there are more and more companies across the country who are using temporary foreign workers as a way of paying lower wages and making better profits, and that's not good enough. So we are taking a very careful look at foreign workers and how we've become reliant on them in certain sectors of our economy in a way that simply isn't justified. So we know that yes, there is a surplus of jobs out there, but as we face tighter economic times, we know that making sure Canadians have good jobs is going to be continuing to be the priority, and that's what we're going to keep working on.
Should Canada have its own dedicated port police like we had until 1997? Our mayor here from Delta recently wrote to the federal public safety minister because we know that a lot of the crime that is happening on Canadian streets could be combated right at the port itself. So do you think we need a dedicated port police?
Well, you know, the decision that was taken 25 years ago to remove the port police was partially because they had very limited policing powers, and it was felt that leaning on either the local police of jurisdiction or the RCMP or customs officers, depending on what the situation was, made more sense. So we're certainly going to continue to invest more money in policing, more money in police of jurisdiction, but I don't know that creating a brand new police force is actually the solution so much as making sure the existing police forces work better together and have more resources. I mean, we all remember over the past years, conservative governments of the past cut policing resources. We've been investing in more public safety and policing resources, and we need to keep doing that to crack down on smuggling and to make sure that our ports are safe from international organized crime.
Prime Minister, how are the pharmacare negotiations progressing with the NDP? The March 1st deadline is approaching fast.
We continue to have great conversations with it. It's really important to highlight that progressive governments that are focused on delivering for people can do really good things. Working with either the NDP government here in BC, the NDP government in Manitoba, progressive governments across the country is very positive, and we're happy to work with our colleagues in the House on things like dental care that's making a huge difference for seniors. I'm going to go visit with some seniors this afternoon, actually, to talk about the difference it's going to make when they have access to dental care. That happened because we work together. Pharmacare is an important thing that is delivered by the provinces, but that we want to make sure people don't have to choose between medication and paying their rent or putting food on the table. And that's why we're happy to keep working on it, and I'm very optimistic we're going to get there.